So a lot has been said about India's growth story on how it remains a bright spot in the world economy. But away from these positive headlines, millions of young Indians face the risk of unemployment.
Well, India's unemployment rate has surged to a 4-month high level in the month of April. The nationwide joblessness rate has now risen to 8.11% in April.
According to a new report, State of Working India 2023 by Azim Premji University, 42.3% of graduates under 25 are struggling to find work in India.
The unemployment problem is tough to crack, of course. India touts its young population as an asset. But without full-time jobs, India's youth will end up becoming a demographic liability.
Namaskar दोस्तों, my name is Prathamesh and welcome to today's episode of Agenda for Sale. My purpose of starting this series is simple: to create a safe space for policy debates that can become a part of our election discourse. In the middle of all the freebie politics, I sincerely hope that there are more people like me and you who want our politicians to solve actual on-ground problems that will enhance our quality of life drastically. अब कई दिनों से ये अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट वाला मुद्दा सर उठाने की बहुत कोशिश कर रहा है। साथ ही साथ $5 ट्रिलियन जीडीपी, $7 ट्रिलियन जीडीपी, $30 ट्रिलियन जीडीपी की चर्चा भी जोर शोर से चालू है। आज एक ऐसी पॉलिसी लेकर आया हूं जो इन दोनों को एड्रेस कर सकती है। एंड पॉसिबली दिस पॉलिसी इज ऑल्सो द इजीएस्ट टू इंप्लीमेंट फॉर एनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी दैट कम्स टू पावर इन लोकसभा दिस ईयर। हर टीपीओ के साथ एक TTO। लास्ट तक जरूर सुनना और पॉलिसी प्रपोजल अच्छा लगे तो चेंज पिटिशन पे साइन जरूर ठोकना, बिकॉज दैट्स द बेस्ट वे टू मेक आवर वॉइस हर्ड टू द पॉलिटिशियंस हु आर फाइटिंग दीज इलेक्शंस। लेट्स जंप इन। पहले थोड़ा सा कॉन्टेक्स्ट। अ कपल ऑफ years ago, I came across this report called the Global Innovation Index. And when I went through this report, I was completely shocked. Back then in 2019 or so, we were 51st in this ranking out of 129 countries, closely followed by Mongolia, the Philippines and Costa Rica. ऐसे देश जो हम शायद मैप पे ढूंढ भी ना पाए. Even countries like Turkey, Thailand, Latvia and Malta were placed way better than us in these rankings. Now as of 2023, we've definitely made a lot of progress. We've moved about 12 places and now sit at the 40th place in the Global Innovation Index. But a country like ours, which wants to be recognized as a global superpower, can do much better than this, right? There's another buzzword we need to understand in this context. It's called the innovation economy. This essentially points to that segment of our market which patently deals with different forms of innovations and research activities. Pun intended. And even though R&D stacks up at the bottommost layer of any value chain, it drives an extraordinary amount of value when done right. Without even getting into technical evidence, the strength of European powers that dominated the entire world in the 19th and 20th centuries can be majorly attributed to their scientific innovations in metallurgy and weapons design and overall industrialization of major segments of their economy. Now, even this report, submitted by our own Economic Advisory Committee, acknowledges that nearly 2/3 of Europe's economic growth between 1995 to 2007 and nearly 15% of their productivity gains in the same period can be attributed to their R&D efforts. I think it is sufficient to say that a nation that innovates prospers economically. Now, if we have to think about how to fix our innovation economy, it is important for us to divide it into two parts. एक तो इस innovation economy के inputs क्या है और दूसरा इस economy के outputs क्या है. अब outputs तो आसान है. Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, who is part of PM Modi's Chief Economic Advisory Committee, has talked about this topic at length. The innovation economy outputs typically consist of patents, trademarks, scientific publications, technical papers, etc. Given the rise of digital technologies, a few others that are also now considered as innovation outputs are the number of website domains we have registered, the number of commits on code bases like GitHub, the number of films we have produced, the number of unicorns we have produced. All these are a part of our intellectual property landscape, which tangibly measures the output of our innovation. The input side is a little tricky to understand though. But again, if we take the reference of the same GII report, the inputs can be classified into 5 main buckets. First is infrastructure, second is human capital and research, third is ease of doing business, fourth is institutional support, and fifth, probably the most important one, is market sophistication. Now we can dive deep and talk about each of these 5 buckets for hours. सरकार को हम सब मिलके 1000 गालियां दे सकते हैं, ये ठीक नहीं चल रहा, वो ठीक नहीं चल रहा. But there is one specific point where I would like to draw your attention. अब आज के इस वीडियो का ये रहा सबसे डरावना ग्राफ. ये ग्राफ मैंने लिया है AICTE यानी ऑल इंडिया काउंसिल फॉर टेक्निकल एजुकेशन के वेबसाइट से. अब इस ग्राफ के हिसाब से we have around 30 lakh seats available for technical education. And this includes everything: science, engineering, pharma, architecture. सिर्फ engineering का भी देख ले across postgraduate and undergraduate programs, फिर भी ये हालत है. 23 lakh seats available, 17 लाख enrollments, जिसमें से सिर्फ 8 लाख बच्चे पास हुए और सिर्फ 6.5 लाख बच्चों की प्लेसमेंट हुई. मतलब एनरोलमेंट टू प्लेसमेंट का रेशियो इज लेस देन 40%, जो इंजीनियरिंग का पासिंग मार्क होता है ना डरावना स्टैटिस्टिक. बट इसी में छुपी है एक ऐसी मजेदार चीज जो हमारा सबसे पावरफुल हथियार बन सकता है टू रैडिकली इंप्रूव आवर इनोवेशन इकोनॉमी. It is the 17 lakh students who have enrolled for the engineering courses. When I was studying engineering myself, I had no clue why I was studying any of the 40 subjects I was studying. 4 साल में 40 सब्जेक्ट सीखे मैंने. एक बस ऑटोमोटिव इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मुझे याद है क्योंकि वो मेरा फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट था. ना कभी पावर डिवाइसेस पल्ले पड़ा, ना सॉलिड स्टेट सर्किट डिजाइन. बट अब मैं सोचता, what if I was challenged with a problem to improve battery life for electric vehicles back then? ऑटोमोटिव इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स में ऑलरेडी मेरे को मजा आ रहा था. अगर मुझे कोई बोलता कि भाई तू अगर बैटरी रेंज 100 किलोमीटर पर चार्ज से लेके 200 किलोमीटर पर चार्ज इंप्रूव करके दिखा देगा, तो आई एम श्योर मेनी ऑफ दीज सब्जेक्ट्स आई वाज बीइंग टॉट वुड हैव कम इन वेरी हैंडी. आई वुड हैव हैड एक्सेस टू एवरीथिंग आई नीडेड टू सॉल्व दिस चैलेंज. कॉलेज में एक्सपेरिमेंट करने के लिए लैब्स थी, रिसर्च करने के लिए लाइब्रेरी थी, मेंटरशिप के लिए प्रोफेसर्स थे, एल्यूमनाई थे, बैठ के काम करने के लिए क्लासरूम्स थे, लोग चाहिए तो मेरे सारे दोस्त लोग थे, जो चाहिए था सब कुछ था. बस मोटिवेशन, डायरेक्शन और चैलेंज की कमी थी. एंड टेल मी ऑनेस्टली, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव कंप्लेन्ड कि कॉलेज में जो सिखाया जाता है वो इंडस्ट्री में एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं होता? एंड दिस इज प्रिसाइजली व्हाट मेक्स मी थिंक India's innovation economy and unemployment problem can be solved with one very simple solution. Hear me out. Just like every college has a training and placement office, I honestly believe every college and every university in India should have a technology transfer office. हर TPO के साथ एक TTO. Now these TTOs are not a new concept. They are a widely known entity. And their job is pretty simple. They are the brokers of innovative technologies. If you have a patented invention, a TTO will help you sell it to the right customer. In our case, this TTO can also become the bridge between the industry and academia to build a solid pipeline of sponsored research projects for the college and university. And this is exactly why this TTO can be a complete game changer, by creating a financial incentive for the students to research and innovate. Challenge भी, direction भी और तगड़ा motivation भी. And now if you zoom out to imagine at the scale of India, establishing TTOs in all universities and colleges will essentially build a very, very strong decentralized backbone of our innovation economy. सोचो जरा, 17 लाख में से आधे बच्चे भी अगर सीरियसली रिसर्च करना चालू करें तो that is like 8 lakh researchers working full time every year on hard technical challenges our industry is facing. And this entire national grid of TTOs can also become a robust network for capital allocation and accumulation, as every single rupee invested through them has a massive upside for both the industry and academia at large. Now I understand. Not all research projects will be successful. Not all research projects would translate into market-ready products. Not all the technologies would be easily monetizable. And in all possibilities, only some of them will be successful. And most of them will fail. I understand. चाहिए तो लगा लो परेटो रूल यहाँ पे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. किसी को पावर लॉ लगाना है इन्वेस्टर्स का तो वो भी लगा दो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. But those who will succeed will either end up making money during their college years by selling their innovations, or maybe even go to launch their own companies to monetize their technologies they have cracked. And worst case scenario, even if they fail to solve these research problems, these kids will be much better trained and much more employable. Because these kids would have worked on today's challenges of the industry and not ratifying their textbooks simply to pass their exams. And more importantly, this will also open up a new revenue channel for academic institutes, which in turn can help reduce the fees being charged for any of these STEM courses. Simply by installing one TTO in all the universities and colleges in India, even on a hub-spoke model, we can supercharge our innovation economy, create a pipeline of new innovative products and startups, make our science and engineering graduates much more practically trained and much more employable, create alternate revenue stream for colleges, and potentially reduce the cost of technical education in India. And remember the GII report? This one policy initiative can actually address more than 60% of the input and output variables of our innovation economy. I won't be surprised if this one policy can help us move at least 10 to 15 more places in the GI index in the next 5 years or so. Ek teer 100 nishan. And hence I propose, ये agenda item इस साल के लोकसभा में डिस्कस होना चाहिए, इस पे डिबेट होना चाहिए. मोदी जी, आपने कहा था कि आप बीजेपी के मैनिफेस्टो में लोगों से सुझाव लोगे. Now from the basket of 12 agenda items I have to offer, this is probably the easiest one to implement. बाकी सब तो इससे कई ज़्यादा complicated है. Some of them may not even be feasible, to be honest. But I would be so glad, so happy if our government decides to implement this agenda item and promises to establish a national grid of technology transfer offices all across our academic institutes. I promise you, the second order and the third order and the fourth order effects of this will be extraordinarily large. Something which my small brain cannot even comprehend. Sanjeev sir, I know this topic is close to your heart, and I'm personally very hopeful that you will see value in this proposal. और दोस्तों, आप सबसे एक छोटी रिक्वेस्ट. If you think this agenda item has the potential to change your life, your son's life or your daughter's life for good, please do sign the change petition. There is a link for the same in the description below. हम सब मिलके जितने ज़्यादा signatures कलेक्ट कर पाएंगे, उतने ज़्यादा चांसेस है कि संजीव सर या मोदी जी या बीजेपी में से कोई भी इस पॉलिसी प्रपोजल को नोटिस करें. My name is Prathamesh and you are watching Agenda for Sale. We'll be back with the next agenda item very soon. Remember, the future of politics starts with us. Stay tuned.